Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, presented by Leduc Entertainment. Today, we are joined by Rob Espitia Pierluissi, who is a creative visionary, a video marketing expert, and the founder of Brand with Vid. Rob, welcome to the show.
What is up, Adrian? What is up, everyone? Thank you for having me, man.
It's great you're here. You're going to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and about Brand with Video.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Adrian said, and he nailed my name, by the way. I have people all the time kind of have an issue with that. So Adrian, right off the bat, bro, I appreciate that more than you know, man. You're a G at this. Like you said, my name is Rob Espitia Pierluissi, and I am the co-founder of a video marketing agency called Brand with Video, alongside my brother Jay, as well as our consultancy, High Ticket Creative, where we help other agencies, other video creatives, replicate the same success that we were able to do with our video agency. So video marketing, branding, offer creation, consulting, that's kind of been my world for the last 5 years. And I'm just very grateful to be here.
And can you tell us a little bit about like your clients and the people that come to you? What are some of the problems that they're having? What are some of the pain points that you're helping them solve?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm very, very grateful for each and every single client that we've been able to work with. We've been able to, over the last 5 years, work from, the local businesses. Currently today, we work more with digital-based businesses. So online companies, digital products, or just high ticket, high personal brand-based businesses. A lot of our clients have personal brands, high ticket creatives, high ticket creators, but also even, certain bigger companies. Like just a few months ago, we wrapped up a deal with Adobe, the software company itself. My brother led that. His face is all over their website right now.
Oh, wow.
But then also just like 2 weeks ago, I just closed a virtual deal with a chiropractor. And they're going to be doing some stuff. We're helping them with their consultancy as well. So digital services is mostly what we do. And we've been able to help local businesses or even some big name brands.
So when a business or a client comes to you and needs help sort of building out their brand, what are some of the strategies that you're utilizing to figure out what's going to be best for their business?
Yes, 100%.
It's a loaded question. I apologize.
No, that's a great question, and it's one that I wish people answered a little bit more simpler as like myself watched this type of content and this type of videos. Over the last 5 years of us doing this, 6 years of us doing this, we've been able to, and people don't have to agree with this, but we've been able to essentially simplify, revenue generating activities in two forms: content creation and conversations, right? So those are the two big pillars for anything that we do. So either we are creating content to let people know about free offers, paid offers, low ticket offers, high ticket offers, nurturing people, adding goodwill, etc. So content, but then how does that content generate us conversations? Whether people DM you on social media, whether people opt in to your site, whether they book a call. So everything we do is completely obsessed, revolved around what is the messaging that we're putting out and how are we doing that to generate conversations, which, as you know, you've been in business a while too, Adrian. You work with Leduc and all the clients you guys work with. That's how you monetize all the attention you get from social media, is you somehow turn that into a conversation.
Right. All right. Are you ready for my second loaded question?
Go ahead, man. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, with what you do and in your space with video marketing, obviously AI has to be having a huge impact in your career field, in your industry right now. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit maybe about the impact that you're seeing with AI and where do you think that's going to go?
Yeah. That is a great question, Adrian. That is a more loaded question than the last one, but for the listeners out there, like, I think this is a great thing. You probably ask a bunch of people. AI has most definitely affected the creative space, the creative, and you're in the same space as I am, Adrian. You probably talk to the very, very similar people or very, very similar niches. and it has most definitely impacted for a while. And I was one of those, full transparency, um, confession moment here. I was one of those people who, like, I waited as long as possible as I
Right.
could before I started looking into it, or like truly getting into it. Why? Because, a couple years ago when ChatGPT was first a thing, I would plop it up and I would try to do something and it just wasn't giving me what I was looking for. So I'm like, I'll scrap it. I'll keep doing like everything that I'm doing the way I've been doing it. And man, AI is just one of those things that is just growing so much more month over month over.
Right.
Like by the time of 2025 being over, AI will be in a completely different space than it is today. So that's the first thing. It's just such a fast moving, fast developing industry, but it most definitely affected the creative space. And I am on the side that believes that these things are meant to supercharge us and to like enhance us, the creative agencies, rather than like replacing, right? So like, we've worked with hundreds,
Right.
thousands of clients, and on the other side, we've also, consulted hundreds and thousands of other businesses, especially in the creative space as well. And there's like a fear of like AI replacing you and things like that. And I just don't think we're there yet. Do I think that there
Right.
will be a time where certain things can be replaced? I do think so. I think that will happen. But instead of like fearing of how this is going to happen to us, it's more, how can I use this to supercharge all the things that we're already doing and making it better?
Right.
The visual space, everything from like you being able to type up prompts and all of a sudden 4K images and 4K visuals are being produced out of thin air for, it'll be to the point where
Right.
it's going to start creating such amazing content that it'll rival six-figure productions.
Right.
And like you won't be able to tell the difference. At one point that'll happen, but I do believe that will give birth to a new segment for people like you and me, where we'll be able to be the leading forces of these developments and still offer client services to people. But to answer your final question, where do I think it's going to go? This actually came from Sam. I think he was the CEO of OpenAI, where he said, in the near future, because of AI, we will eventually see a $1 billion solo founder, like a $1 billion company with just one person. And like, especially now with the rise of what they're calling AI agents and like automations and make.com bots and all these things, where you can essentially create an AI employee for just like one task. Like imagine having an army of AI employees doing individual tasks, not one doing many for you, but like one who's just like fully trained and just does this one job well.
Yeah.
You scale that times 10, times 100, times 200. Like, what could that look like?
Yeah.
That's insane. I don't even know where that's going to go, but I'm excited to see where that takes us.
Well, and it's really interesting. A business owner I recently spoke with was talking about how they, he uses AI tools, and basically the story was that they would only purchase the subscription for that program a month at a time, because over the course of that month, there would be a new program that could do what they needed that program to do better. And so instead of buying any kind of annual subscription, they were having to do it a month at a time as it progressed, which is pretty wild. I was wondering, this is a question. I want to talk a little bit about brand story. And can you kind of define brand story for us? And what are some of the key elements needed to create brand story, and how you utilize those elements in your videos?
Yeah, 100%. So brand story, at least the way I believe you're bringing it up, is like the story behind the brand and how shamelessly how we can monetize that. I think that's the big thing, right? Like any reason why any company wants to share their story or something like that is to let people in. But let's be real, it's a business effort. It's a marketing branding effort that is made to hopefully have a positive return on investment on the other end. So the way I've seen this is there's a couple rules that we follow, and then I'll share with you the structure of how to put that in. But the first rule, and I think any business owner can appreciate this, is honesty. Like, we're going to tell a story here. Can we tell a story that is true? Can we tell a story that is not made up? Can we tell a story that we don't have to lie in order to do the whole thing? Now, in the same breath, with that being said, I do believe in strategic highlights of a brand story, right? So for example, let's just say a brand is telling their story for the last 10 years and 100 events happened between the last 10 years. Well, how do we pluck specifically the
Right.
ones that are going to help us tell our story, right? Like Adrian, I know you're a creative yourself. You've probably been behind the screen of placing some stories together, a piece of content here, a piece of content there, right?
Oh,
What
yeah.
do? We always sift. We take the best of the best and then we move that
Right.
onto another timeline or we raise that up higher or something. So I believe a story is the same thing. You take all of the events and then it's say, well, what are the main key points here that will help us tell the story that we want to tell, obviously accurately, but also honestly, ethically, etc.
Right.
And then from there, this is we're sharing with business owners here. Everything is about the angle, about the way that you're saying it, right? Like a 6 and a 9 are the exact same thing. It just depends on how you're looking at it. So I think a superpower that usually like branding or marketing companies have is how can you have a spin-off to something that makes it interesting? I like to call it the angle, right? Like what is the angle of attack that we're going to go with this story? And what do we want people to feel towards the end? So I'm more than happy to get into like some of the nuts and bolts of how we construct this story. But does
Yeah.
that make sense, Adrian? At least like our approach,
It does. It absolutely does. And it's funny that you say we can get into the nuts and bolts of it, because my next question was going to be, now when you're creating this story, are you thinking about it in terms of a 3-act structure, or how are you structuring it?
yeah, like a brand story.
Yeah.
So
And
so
how does that deviate from, say, a screenplay or a commercial,
Mhm,
or you know?
mhm. Yeah, 100%. So being in the marketing branding world for a couple years now, I've been able to see what I like to call a lot of different formats. And in the world of business, I firmly believe that like business is not a concept where it has rules that if you do this, this will work. If anything, I think there's more than one way to make a business work. That's why there's so many
Right.
different kinds of businesses, business owners. Well, in the same way, there's multiple ways to kind of tell a story. And I believe that history repeats itself. And at certain moments in time, there's a more popular way or structure to tell a story. And then at other times, there's other ways. And essentially, it's this recycling of telling the same thing over and over again in as many different ways as possible.
Right.
Now, how do we construct like a story based on the parts that we have? Well, it's using that same word that I just talked about, that I just used, which is construct. So we're not conjuring up something, we're constructing. And if we're constructing, that means that there's components. So I very much do like to see things in the nuts and bolts type of way, where I'm like, okay, well, we need a beginning, we need like a middle, we need an end. And Adrian, you yourself are a storyteller. You know, if I was to do traditional English literature storytelling 101, well, we know that all stories have an exposition, which is like a beginning. All good stories have a rising action, which is like the series of events continuing to unfold themselves. All stories have a climax. And then all stories have a falling action, and then at the end, all stories have an ending, right? Like
Right.
the whole conclusion.
Right.
So that's a good story. And if you know that story, then what ends up happening is as you see other stories, you'll see the patterns in all of them. I actually learned this, giving credit where credit is due. There's a guy, I forget his name, but he has like a company that's called like Brand Story or like Story Brand or something like that.
Mhm.
Donald Miller, maybe. If that sounds familiar, I believe that's what his name is. And I saw some of his content a couple years ago where he essentially said that once you learn how to tell these stories, every time you see a story, like you watch a movie, before the end of the movie, you know that this guy's gonna die, you know
Right.
that this guy's doing this, you know that this is gonna happen. It's like setting up. So really, truthfully, storytelling has been the same script for as long as
Right.
we can remember. It's just kind of looking at it. But in the business world, let me just get a little deeper and translate this back again.
Absolutely.
In the business world, when you have an exposition, you have the beginning of the story. And if you were to compare like a business story to kind of like an action movie, well, what is the very first scene in the action movie? All of a sudden, you see like it's all dark screens. And then all of a sudden, boom, you hear either gunshots or a car driving, revving, streets, tires, right? Like all this crazy action scene just started. It's like all this stuff is going on, right? Well, in the business world, like that's essentially the same thing as like a good hook. Like how do you hook in? How do you hook in? And so what you do is you talk about one of the most exciting parts of the whole story. And you do that at the beginning, right? So you have the hook. Well, how does the rest of this play out? And that's why you watch the rest of the movie. How the heck did we get to this action scene? Why is this person being chased? Why is this person shooting a gun? You're invested and you want to find out how the story unfolds the rest. So I believe a business story is the same. So you want to start them off with a good hook and you want them to think about that end result of whatever your company, your product or your service can help them with, right? Then you have, after you do that, you hook them in, you have your rising action. I wish I brought my iPad or like a whiteboard, but envision it here with me. And for you listeners, close your eyes and envision this with me. And so then you have your rising action, right? So that's how the story is going up. And I believe that the rising action usually consists of two parts in the business world, where the first one consists of a little bit of information about yourself. You can't make it too much about yourself, but you got to let people in a little bit on something, right? So like the story's unfolding, you end up finding out about the character. You find out where the character lives. You find out about whatever. Well, in the business world, it's the same thing. You want to figure out like when the company was founded, blah, 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 blah. Or like at least like the founder, right? If the founder's telling a story, what was going on in the founder's life? Then it starts moving up in any good movie. What starts happening? Challenges, problems, tribulations, all these things starts happening. Well, in the business world, what we do is we shine the problems of the marketplace. We shine on the problems of our prospects, the problems of our ideal client profile. Like we start talking about their problems. So before we even get to the climax or a call to action or anything, we let them know, I understand what you're going through. I'm calling out your pain as it is. I've seen this problem in the marketplace.
Right.
And then you transition after the rising action. What do you have? You have a climax, right? The climax is the most exciting part about the whole story. Well, if a business is telling their story, well, then the most exciting part must be either the creation of the business or the creation of their product, whatever it is that they're trying to promote. So if this story is to just promote the brand and the whole company, great. If this story is to promote a new product, well, then that was the creation of this product. Does that make sense? So climax equals the creation of your new product or service or the spinoff. It could be the same one, but it could be a spinoff.
Absolutely.
So then you have that. Then, okay, that's the most exciting part. Then you go into falling action. So what happens in the falling action? Well, what happens after the most exciting part, right? Okay, the gun scene is done. You know, the car crash is over. Well, what happens to all the characters? What's going on? And so in the client's mind, in the brand story way, well, what happens after the foundation of it? And that is, well, what happens after you hire me, or what happens after you install this product or this service into your business? And so this is where you start telling people, well, hey, after you work with us, this is what you can start experiencing. And this is where you can also cue testimonials, client results, case studies, right? You're strategically placing in that social proof on this side of the story.
Yeah, that is super interesting. I mean, it's essentially the hero's journey.
Correct.
But the hero is the product.
Yes or no? So I believe in telling this story, the hero is the client. Actually, it's like it's the person who you want to help. And then in the hero story, you know that there's always like a guide, like a mentor or coach. That's your role to play in the hero's journey, right? Like when clients hire us and stuff, like they're hiring us because they're the main character in their lives. That's the reason why they hire us, not because they're a side character and we're the main character. They're the main character. But we can be a guide and help them with our products and our services.
That is super, super interesting. I mean, where do you think your passion for storytelling came from?
That's a great question. And just to finish off the last part, so like after you finish off the falling action, at the end, the resolution, that's the call to action. So just to like, that's the reason why we do all this to begin with, right? And like, as a business, this is how we get our return on investment. So for you business owners who are listening, like, yes, tell your story, but the reason you tell your story is so you can call people to action afterwards into your business. That's what
Ab-
makes the whole picture come around. So
right.
sorry, Adrian, I know we're gonna move on to the next question. I just
Oh
had to
no,
go
no,
back
no.
to
That's
that.
no. I'm glad that I'm glad that you brought that back up, because that's super important and super interesting. I mean, that whether it's visit www dot is it and what kind of different calls to action, I mean, what are some of the things that go to the website, call this phone number? Is there anything else that you typically see in a call to action?
Yeah. So it really depends on like what the end result is for this effort, right? Like, this, Adrian, when it comes to media and storytelling, you can create so many videos, you can create so many things. I think it's all, I hate to use the word like a funnel, because like funnels are just so overly used and things, but you got to you got to realize that like when you take a stranger and you try to turn them into a client, there are so many things that need to happen, right? From a
Right.
stranger to a client. Everything from generating awareness all the way to generating a lead, to nurturing that lead, and then afterwards converting that lead. So depending on which segment of the funnel you are in, I believe depends on what the call to action is. So for
Got it.
example, if you're like on the awareness stage, people are just letting you know, like you're just letting people know about you, just making them be aware. Well, it could be something as like, follow me on social media, follow our journey, click on this thing. Absolutely. Right. If you are trying to get leads, well, then you need contact information, right? That's what a lead is a contact. So put in your information, fill out this
Right.
form, apply, etc. If you're nurturing a lead, well, then you're entering, a more of a relationship building side of it, where it may be like, watch this next video, watch this thing, click to speak with a member of our team, etc.
Right.
And if you're actually, looking to convert immediately on that, you're on that side of the funnel. Well, then it would be like, buy now, or book a call, speak with our member, apply to work with us. Very more direct call to action. So it could very much vary. I guess it just depends on what side of the funnel really you're trying to move to the next side.
Right. Now, I didn't forget my prior question, and I'm still interested. I do want to know, where did this passion for storytelling come from?
That's a really good question, Adrian. And to answer it fully honestly, I don't think I actually have a passion for storytelling. I believe my passion really lies in ethically, respectfully, and organically making campaigns and marketing efforts work. I think that is really like where my passion is. It's like, how do we make this marketing campaign work? And I just think storytelling is a part of it. And it's something that I inevitably had to get good at in order to be good at my true focus and passion, which is making marketing campaigns work.
Well, where did that passion come from then?
Yeah, I think it originally came from, which I think is the same passion and story as a lot of entrepreneurs, solving your own problem, right? Like when I first got into this, 5 years ago, I think just like most business owners, 99% of business owners, you all struggle immediately with the same thing, which is, how do I get more clients? How do I get more sales? How do I get more people to buy my product? So I would say like that passion originally came from needing to solve my own problem of, I need to get clients. How do I make this work?
Right.
And then essentially after, we were able to kind of co-create our own systems, then started replicating that for clients and for students. But it originally came to solve my own problem, my own pain.
Yeah. What advice would you have for somebody that is maybe starting out, like you said, that is starting, has a new business, has a small business, or maybe even a larger business, but what advice would you give for a business owner that is looking to start implementing using video marketing?
Yeah. For a new business owner who wants to start implementing video marketing, I would, this is such a great question, Adrian, because this does vary depending on business owner, but I think every business owner who listens to this will know exactly what I mean. If they are new to business, I believe that's something different than new to video marketing. Right? Like there could be like, if you're brand new to business, you're new to everything. And truthfully, like you need a whole lot more than just video to make things work. Like you need to find product market fit. You need to make sure that you have like the right avatars, all these other things. But if a business is new to video marketing, maybe they were already in business for a year, or based on their network, they already have clients or things like that, then my number one prescription would always be to find whatever is working for you best. Like, what is it that you are already doing that is working? And then instead of using video marketing to start something from the ground up with no momentum, no nothing, how do we use the power of video marketing to supercharge and add fuel to the fire to a business system that is already working? I'll give you an example. Let's say that a business owner gets all of their business from networking, for example. They're really good at networking. They're part of like different chambers and groups and all this stuff. And so then you ask them, okay, so you network. How do you turn that networking into clients? Well, I network. I give people my contact info. And then afterwards, we jump on a call. Okay, perfect. Let's just say that is, and that's often a pretty common like funnel for business owners, right? They go meet people and then they get on the phone with them and then they close them. Cool. Well, how can we use video to help that original funnel? Instead of starting social media from scratch, what can you do? Well, we can create a brand story video, for example, like the example you brought up earlier, or other types of video assets. And then how can we get these prospects to watch this video before we get on the sales call? And so I'm not starting something from scratch. I'm taking something that is already working for me and I'm putting video in there to make it work better. And so now this video could be telling people about their story, about the founder's story. It could include testimonials, case studies, all these things. And funny enough, like I'm speaking on this from experience. Like we use video in all of our things. And like one of the initial like findings / return on investment that we found is that we would be able to take like hour-long sales calls. And if people watch this video before jumping on the call, it would normally bring it down to like 30 to 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Same sale, same price point, but now the sale it takes 20%, 30%, 40% less time. Why? Because all of their questions about us, or at least a lot of them, were answered beforehand because they watched that video.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So that would be my thing. It's like, what are you already doing that is working for you? And then let me help you make that work a little bit better using video. Absolutely. And then once you've improved that, then we can go ahead and start some other systems, right? Like you have no social media. Okay, let's start building you up some social media. But like if you already have something that's working for you, I'd rather throw my name in that hat and like apply my talent and my skill set to make that work better than to start something from the ground up and then have you hate me because it didn't work as fast as we wanted it to, for example.
Yeah. And can you share with us maybe now you've helped all these businesses, you've done this video marketing for all these businesses. Can you share with us maybe when you look back, is there a story that stands out where you really saw a transformation in a client or a business as a result of your help and video marketing services?
Yeah, I have a couple stories, and I want to be transparent and say where a big part of my passion for what I do still comes from is from stories that most people actually haven't heard. So as far as clients go, I'm gonna be really honest and transparent and say that when you get your job done well, like for example, we implement a marketing campaign for clients and it brings them new clients or it brings them more opt-ins or it does all these things. The sad truth is, and business owners who you are listening, this is for you as well. The sad truth is, as a service provider, especially in the B2B space, when you do your job, even when you hit it right, it's oftentimes very thankless.
Right.
Oftentimes it's not recognized or celebrated or even documented. Like I can't tell you how many times we did great for clients and then they didn't, like, also to be fair, I didn't ask, but you know, they ended up getting great results and they didn't even tell us.
Right.
And it's like I wish I knew this. So you know, more often than not, you implement a good strategy, especially those listening, you know, with Leduc Entertainment and all that. Like these guys know what they're doing. If you have the pleasure to work with Adrian, like these guys definitely know what they're doing. They implement the marketing strategy and it works. And so even though I have tons of successful case studies and great, amazing clients that we've worked with, the biggest celebration that we received on our agency till this day actually doesn't, it pales in comparison to some of the basic stories that we get from our consultancy side of things, actually, which is where we help other marketing companies, other video creative agencies actually be able to get to that next level. And those are crazy. Like I'm not going to speak on names specifically, but you have everything from, like I was going through a divorce and like I had nothing that was my own. And now that I have this system in my business, like I actually feel like I have this thing. We've had people who went from I'm making $2,000 a month. Now they're making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month. That's life-changing. Like $40,000 a month in of itself is not life-changing money, but from going from 2,000 to 40,000,
right.
that is at least a perspective shift. And I got to tell you, Adrian, that's the reason I get up every day as well, is because more than like bank deposits or client payments coming through or any of those things, waking up and seeing a message of like, I just did my first success. That was crazy. And honestly, out of all the things that I do, that is still more rewarding. Like hearing somebody get their first $1,000, $10,000 win, as much as I love the client work that we do, is 10 times more rewarding than, hey, our campaign worked. We have a 3-to-1 ROI.
Right.
It's just worlds of a different.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that makes sense, man. Hopefully, I'm sure you've been on both sides of those conversations where like, what I'm talking about with all the things that you guys do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rob, this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for stopping by and talking with us. If anybody out there listening could use your help and could use your services, where can the people find you?
Yeah. I'm, all big about being on social media. So I'm on social media. So if you look up my name on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you'll find me. If you just Google my name, all my social profiles are going to pop up first. So just DM me on any social media platform that you're on. And if I can help you out, I'm more than happy to.
That's awesome. Rob, thank you so much for stopping by. This has been Partnerships for Profit presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Rob, thank you again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.